All right, we are live, guys. Welcome back to another incredible episode of the Motivation Everything Show. I am your host, Cody Cottle, joined this week by Dr. Gary Sanchez, where every single week, guys, I bring on a very, very high-level guest that we get to interview and dive into a topic that they are expert in, that they are passionate about in front of all of you to bear fruit for you. And I'm not going to lie. Like this guest, Dr. Gary Sanchez, I'm really pumped. And you guys are going to see why as we dive deep into this, because Dr. Gary Sanchez is somebody that I got introduced to by a friend a while back. I got the opportunity to be on his podcast. And man, did he help me even discover my why and to go deep. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I want to give him a formal introduction. Before I do that, if you were live, because we do stream the show live every week, guys, I want you to drop live below in the comment section. Let me know if you're live with us right now. Now, if you happen to catch the replay, I want you to drop replay because I love seeing who tunes into the show as we go live. So I'm going to tell you guys a little about Gary, and then I'm going to hand it over to him. So this week, I am joined by Dr. Gary Sanchez, a dentist, an inventor, an author, and speaker. He's always in search of a better way. Struggling to stand out in the crowded dental marketplace led him on his quest to learn the power of your why. He found that many experts talk about the need to know your why, which I can relate, but none helped him actually discover his why. He found that many experts talk about, or I said that already, his obsession with why led him to discovering his own why, as well as the process for helping others discover theirs. Applying his why to his dental practice took his practice from just getting by to having abundance and the development of the Why Institute to help other businesses. Dr. Sanchez has now, him and his team, worked with over 40,000 individuals, as well as 500 companies from small yoga studios to Fortune 500 companies, helping them get clear, stand out, and play bigger. Welcome to the show, Gary.
Cody, thank you. Love the introduction. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, man. Well, we're honored to have you, Gary, and I want you to dive into really your journey. Tell us your story and how you've gotten to where you're at with the Why Institute.
Okay, so Cody, in 1988, man, a lot of your audience probably wasn't even born then, but in 1988, that's when I graduated from USC Dental School. Well, you know what? I'm going to go back even a little bit farther because I'm sure some of your audience is in their 20s, maybe even teens. I don't know, but I wasn't really given any advice on what direction to go with my life, right? Other than go find your passion. And how useful is that, right? Go find your passion. Oh, that's great. Thanks for the advice. How do I do that? Well, just go try some things out and see what fits. There's no real way to help people at that time discover their passion. So when I was in college, I had to pick a major, right? And I'm thinking, now, how am I going to figure out what is my major? What am I gonna pick? So I just picked, yeah, exactly. So I just picked something I was good at, which was biology. In fact, I almost had like an emotional or mental breakdown when I had to make that decision because I was just guessing, right? I had no idea. Let me try that out because I got an A in that class. So I picked biology. And what's interesting about that is then you have maybe a little bit of leeway, and then you got to figure out, what am I going to do with that? What do you do with a biology degree? And since I had no idea what I was going to do, I just picked dentistry. I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. My dad was a dentist. I knew the lifestyle. I'm going to go give it a shot. So off I went to USC Dental School, had a great time, loved living in LA and California where you're at. And when I got done, the advice that I was given from the experts of that time was, if you build a great product, people will come, right? If you build a great product, people will come. Just go out and do the best job you can do, Cody. Do the best that you can do, and people will naturally find out about you. They'll naturally come see you. And so I did that. I spent 20 years going to the best institutes, studying with the best dentists, building a beautiful practice, beautiful facility, all the latest technology, all the stuff. I had a great what. I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know why. And I can tell you that just doing things good was not good enough, at least in my case. And so my practice became more and more refined. The better work I did, the less people needed it redone. And so I ended up with a practice filled with patients that were completed and didn't need more treatment. And they weren't talking about me. like I thought they would do, right? They didn't want to go to a party and say, hey, look at all the nice crowns that Dr. Sanchez did for me, right? They want somebody to say, hey, you got a great smile, and then say, thank you. And so I didn't get the reward that I thought I was going to get. And I became very disillusioned. I was ready to quit dentistry. I was like, there's got to be something better than this. This can't be all there is. I can't have worked this hard, put this much into it, and not gotten the reward that I thought I should get. And I'm guessing some of your listeners are either on that path or have felt that already, because that's kind of what happens to us. We get into something, we go all in, and does it turn out the way we thought or does it not? And for me, it didn't. And so about that time, I was with my daughter, my teenage daughter at the time, and she wanted me to take her to the midnight opening of Twilight. Do you remember when Twilight came out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Team Jacob, Team Edward.
There you go. There you go. So I'm in this bookstore with my teenage daughter and her friends. And of course, how long do you think teenage daughters want to be with their dad? So instantly I'm left alone. Right. So I start wandering through this bookstore and I see a book called The Answer. I'm like, wow, I got all these questions and problems, and there's a book called The Answer. So I pick it up, and it's written by a guy that you know as well as I do, a guy named John Assaraf.
Yeah.
Right? And so it was exactly what I was looking for. And so I read the book, I called John Assaraf, and I had him coach me. And so through him, I learned how to use the internet. I learned how to do websites and drip campaigns and SEO and all that stuff so that I can get my message out to the world now. But the only problem was, what am I going to say? Right? What am I going to say that separates me from everybody else that does what I do? What are your listeners going to say about themselves that separates them from everybody else who does what they do? And even if they think what they do is unique and different, there's still somebody who probably does it just about the same.
Right.
What am I going to say that doesn't make me sound desperate or like I actually need business? So since I didn't know what to say, I just stayed quiet. Until one day I heard John Assaraf interview Simon Sinek, right? For your listeners, I'm sure you're familiar with Simon Sinek. He wrote you've got his book right there. Yep, Start With Why. There you go. I saw his TED Talk. I listened to his interview. I watched his TED Talk probably 30 times. I read his book 5 times. I was like, that is the missing piece. I know what I do, but I don't know why I do it. And so I became obsessed with discovering my why, right? This concept of why, how, and what, that's a great concept. It explains so much about how we think and the processes that are going on inside us. But all it was a concept. I knew I needed it. I knew I believed it. I knew I was into that. I knew it was the missing piece, but I didn't know my why. So how useful is that concept if you don't know your why? Right? Yeah. It becomes another one of those things that just pisses you off, right? I know I need this. I know I want it, but I can't have it. So I became obsessed, like I said, with discovering my why. So I just called Simon. I said, Simon, I need you to help me discover my why. So he and I spent about 8 months together going back through my life, looking for clues, trying to figure out, why do I do what I do? And we went back from the present time all the way back to when I was a little kid, looking for a pattern. And I finally figured out that my why is to find a better way and share it, to find a better way and share it. Everything in my life is about finding better ways to do things and then sharing them. I've got lots of patents and products and inventions that are all better ways of doing things. I'm sitting in a chair right now that I invented. It's a better way to sit. I started fitness contests for everyday people, a better way to get in shape. Everything was about finding a better way. And when I realized that, my life made so much sense to me. So I took what I learned from John Assaraf and I took what I learned from Simon Sinek and I applied it to my practice. I created this whyification process back in 2010 and my practice took off. I went from 4 to 6 new patients a month for my brother and I to 35 to 45 new patients a month. And in our practice, a new patient is worth about $6,000. So it was very significant for us.
Wow.
Most fun, right? Most satisfaction, most enjoyment because things were going well. And then I started getting calls from other dentists saying, hey, can you help me do what you did? And so I said, yeah, I'll help you. So I wanted to share it, right? I found a better way. I wanted to share it. So I started working with dentists. I would sit down with them and I'd help them discover their why. When I figured out what Simon was trying to do, I made it better. And I figured out how to help someone discover their why. in about an hour. So instead of 6 or 8 or 10 months, I could help somebody figure out their why in about an hour. So Cody, I could have sat down with you and helped you discover your why while you were getting your teeth cleaned. So if you remember, I'm a dentist, right? So while you're getting numb, I became obsessed with helping people discover their why, right? It was just, I found a better way.
I can imagine that dentist experience with you being like no other dentist experience on the planet.
That's about right. If you were sitting next to me on an airplane, Cody, you were going to get your why discovered. If you met me in a bar or a restaurant, you're going to get your why discovered. If
Wow.
you're sitting in my chair waiting to get numb, you're going to get your why discovered. And so I did this with all these dentists, and I would help them discover their why, and then I'd help them build their marketing, their branding, their culture, all based on their why. And then I started doing with us. So I did it with about 150 dentists, and then I got calls from lawyers and chiropractors and financial groups, and businesses started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now, like you said, I've done this actually with over 500 companies with over 50,000 people. But the interesting thing, Cody, was when you get involved with something like this and you do it over and over and over, you start to notice patterns and trends and similarities. And so I started to see these things, and I started to keep track of all the whys that I discovered. And I figured out that there's only 9 different whys. That was the most important thing I discovered, because once I figured out there were 9 whys, then I could help somebody discover their why in about 15 minutes. Then I started getting lots of data. And then I was able to develop the algorithm, create the software, so that now you can go online and discover your why in about 5 minutes. Now I can really have a big impact. Now I can scale. Now I can help people all over the world discover their why, so that we can reach our goal of helping 1 billion people discover their why in the next 5 years.
Right.
And it all came from
finding a better way.
Talk about finding a better way. And so the other thing I wanted to, there's a lot more we could go into there, which is your YOS. So what we then realized was just as important as your why is your how and your what. So your why is why you do what you do. Your how is how you bring that to life. And your what is what it is other people can count on from you. So in my case, my why, my why is to find a better way. And if that's all you knew about me, that would still be a lot more than not knowing that about me, right? When you look at me on the screen, you're probably trying to figure out, now, who is this guy? What the hell is he talking about? What is this stuff? But if you know now that behind my eyes, the way my brain works is it's always trying to find a better way, then you can see what I'm talking about from the perspective of me finding a better way. Then it makes a lot more sense. Totally. So for the listeners and the audience and the people watching this, Cody has my same why. So now when you listen to Cody, you're going to say, he's trying to find a better way. That's what his organization is all about. Wouldn't you say that?
100%. And when I actually got to go through and take the algorithm that you've built with the software and it landed on finding a better way, I was like, yes, that is 100% me. And it actually better helped me discern and understand myself and why I tick the way that I tick.
Yes. And what people can count on from you. Yes. And why you've made decisions you've made, and why you haven't made decisions you didn't make, and what lane you should play in, and where you're going to find your passion, and where you fit in. And all of life's most challenging questions become so much easier when you know your why. Now, if you don't know your why, it's all just hit or miss. It's all hope. I hope I pick the right career. I hope this is the right thing for me. We call it smoking hopium, because you just hope that you're in the right path. Why not find out? Why not? Don't waste your life. Don't waste your potential. Don't waste your gift. Don't waste your why.
Right.
Go find out what your why is, then go live your why, and you will live a life of passion. You will love what you're doing. That makes sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because if we don't ask the right questions, we don't get the right answers. And I think so many people in this world, Gary, and I'm really excited to talk about the why and the way that you're able to discern it. I've never heard in a way. Guys, I've never heard someone break down your why and the way that Dr. Sanchez is able to for us today. And that's where everybody has to start. So even the title of this, right? The why is the essential first step in self-discovery. Why is it that discovering your why has to come first, Dr. Sanchez?
Great question. So there's a lot of great assessments out there. There's Myers-Briggs, there's Colby, there's Strength Finders, there's Enneagram. I mean, we could go on and on. They're great. And I don't want to discount those at all. But those are how you take action, right? Those are how you do what you do, but not why you do what you do.
Right.
And your why is that essential first step because of how it connects to your brain. When you talk about what you do, you blend in with everybody else who does what you do. When you talk about why you do what you do, that separates you from everybody else who does what you do because it comes from your why. And so that when imagine there's two parts of the brain I want to talk about. And I wish I had a diagram, but if you can just imagine a big circle and a smaller circle inside of it. So the outer part of your brain is called the neocortex. The neocortex. And the neocortex is responsible for rational and analytical thought and language. What that means is that it can understand lots of data. Facts, figures, and features are all understood at the level of the neocortex, but it doesn't drive behavior. So decision-making doesn't happen at the level of the neocortex. So how does this apply to you? You could tell somebody all the facts and figures and features of your business, of your consulting business, of your whatever kind of business you have, and they'll look at you and they'll say, Cody, I understand what you're saying, but let me think about it. Let me think about it, right? How many of us have ever heard, let me think about it, right? Yeah, all of us. The inner part of the brain is called the limbic brain. So if you were drawing this like a bigger circle and a smaller circle, the outer bigger circle would be the neocortex. The inner circle would be called the limbic brain. So if you write it down, write limbic brain. Now, the limbic brain is responsible for feelings like loyalty and trust. Decision-making happens at the level of the limbic brain, but it doesn't have the capacity for language. That's the decision part of the brain. But we make decisions because it feels right, and then we justify it with the neocortex. So, Cody, have you ever bought anything you didn't need?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. So why did you buy it?
Impulsive decision based on emotion.
Yeah, felt right.
Right.
Feels good. I think I'll buy it. And then you justify it with the neocortex, the facts, figures, and features, right?
Right.
I just did this. I just bought this giant truck, big blue Raptor truck. I didn't need a truck. I already had something that worked. But I got in it and I'm driving this thing and said, boy, this really feels good. I think I'm going to get this. I didn't need it. I'm not going to do anything with a truck, but I bought it. And then on my way home, of course, I justify it. Well, I might have to move my daughters, or I might tow this or tow that. So you buy it because it feels right. You justify it with the neocortex. So if you want to get somebody to hire you, if you want to get somebody to buy your product, your service, join your cause, you need to first connect to them at the level of the limbic brain, and then they'll justify it with the neocortex. So you want to speak to the limbic brain first, the neocortex second. The limbic brain, how you do that is by starting with your why. Then tell them how and what. So the sequence then becomes why, how, and what. Is this making sense?
Oh, 100%.
And so how you do that is by telling them what you believe. And if they believe what you believe, then you are the right one for them. So Cody, let's use you as an example.
Okay.
Your why is to find a better way.
Absolutely.
And so if you start by just telling them all the things you've done, well, right. I've done this, 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 and this, and I've got this, and this many people that listen to me, and I've got all these things. They'll say, yeah, I get that, Cody, but so does so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. So why should I choose you? Right? But if you tell them what it is you believe, that you believe there's always a better way, you believe in looking for ways to do things better and then sharing them. So That's why you do what you do. And if they are somebody who's in search of a better way, then you are the guy for them, because that's how your brain works. So if you tell them what you believe, for example, another way to say that would be, let's say you're in my dental practice, I would say, when I believe that when you have your health, you have 1,000 dreams. And when you don't, you only have one.
Wow.
And so if they believe what I believe, that the value of health allows you to have 1,000 dreams, and not having health gives you just one, then I'm the right person for them to be talking to. But if they don't believe that, then I'm not the right one, and that's okay too. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And you're connecting with them, like you said, on that limbic level, and it's really speaking to them. And an emotion does put things in motion. And with the background in sales, it's interesting because we see this so often where really you need to get someone to make an emotional buying decision or choice, and they will later justify that logically. Now, Gary, I know you know, what would be a great example of a company or two that we see in today's modern culture that uses this model, and because of that, they're very successful?
Well, the easiest one to go with is Apple, because everybody knows them. I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret here. The why of a company is the why of the visionary. So let me give you an example.
That's good.
Steve Jobs, his why was to challenge the status quo. His how he did that was by finding better ways. And what he would bring was a simple solution. So his why was to find a better, to challenge the status quo. His how was to find a better way, and his what was to simplify things so that anybody can do it. And if you look at his life, that played out everywhere in his life, right? Remember, he went off to college. He's like, I don't want to follow the structure that they created for me. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to find a better way. And then he would sneak in to just the classes that he wanted to go to, right? He simplified it down to, I'm only going to go to these that are going to have an impact in my life. So again, his why was to challenge the status quo, his how was to find a better way, and his what was to simplify. Let's take that and let's apply that to Apple, because he was the visionary for Apple. In everything Apple does, they challenge the status quo and think differently, right? They challenged the phone industry with the iPhone. Do you remember what the phone was before the
game? This changed everything.
What was before it?
I think the biggest phone before iPhone was the Razor or BlackBerry.
There you go. The BlackBerry. How many buttons were on a BlackBerry?
A lot. I don't know, like 50.
So let's say all he was going to do was try to make a better one. Maybe he would have come up with 52 buttons.
Right.
But instead, he thought outside the box. He imagined something completely different. He found a better way using glass, and then he brought it to us in a simple way where a 3-year-old and a 93-year-old can use it.
Man.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, look at what he's done to impact. I'm impact driven because we're both find a better way guys. And I look at, because of Steve Jobs and the way his mind worked and the why he had and the follow through, it changed the world.
There you go. He would challenge the way things are done. He would find a better way. He would bring something back that's simple and easy to use. He challenged the computer industry with the Mac. He challenged the watch industry with the, there you go. He challenged the music industry with iTunes. In everything he gets into, he challenges the way things were done. He finds a better way, or they find a better way, and they come back with something that's simple and easy to use. What is the tagline for Apple? Think different.
Different, right? Yeah. It's interesting. I haven't seen that in a long time. Do they use that in all their marketing?
They still use it, yes. Where do you think that came from?
Steve Jobs.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's his why. So that's how you develop your messaging and your marketing and your branding so that it's real, so that it's authentic, so that it's you. It's not something a marketing company went into a closet and came out and said, Cody, this is what you're going to say. You're like, no, that's not me. I'm not going to say that. No, but it'll work. It'll work. You're like, I know, but it might work, but it isn't me. So you use your why, your how, and your what. And that separates you. That answers this question, Cody. Why should I choose you?
It's so powerful.
That's what people want to know. So can I take a step back?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're dropping fire. Keep it coming.
So I said earlier that discovering your why makes life's most challenging questions become much easier when you know your why, and that everybody needs to know their why. And so what do I mean by life's most challenging questions? How do I find my passion? How do I know what direction I should go? How do I know where I fit in? How do I know what my gift is? How do I know how to build my messaging for my company? How do I know who my ideal client is? How do I know how to build my culture? How do I know how to attract the right people to me? Those are all tough questions.
Yeah, and that's where most people get stuck, is on that clarity. So tell us, Gary.
It all comes from your why. So if the answer is how, if the question is how, the answer is your why. So let me solve all of those for you right now. How do I find my passion? If what you do is in line with why you do what you do, you will have passion for what you do. Let me say that again. If what you do is in line with why you do what you do, you will have passion for what you do. And passion is the fuel that gives you the energy to pursue your dreams. Without passion, you don't have anything. Nothing moves without passion. So I helped people discover their why for free for years. I did thousands of them for free. Why would a dentist who already has a very successful practice walk away, or first of all, spend 10,000 hours helping people discover their why when I had a lot of other stuff I could have been doing?
Right.
It's passion. It drives you when what you're doing is in line with your why. You are another example. Think of what you have done in helping people find a better way. That is what you are all about. And I'm sure you did it for a long time, for a lot of people, for free.
Yeah, I started when I was, heck, we could go back to 16, but I can really say at 18 years old, I began public speaking. And I didn't monetize that until a few years ago.
So why'd you keep going? Why'd you keep going?
11 years.
Yeah, what kept you going?
It's 100% what you said. My why of finding a better, I had a mentor years ago, and you're going to love this. And this mentor asked me, he said, Cody, what breaks your heart in the world? And that was a tough question, Gary. And I thought on that for weeks before I came back and gave him a real answer. And I came back and I told him, and I said, what really breaks my heart in the world is so many people don't live up to their purpose, the becoming the best version of themselves. That I see so many of my friends and so many people that I meet, and they're so talented and they don't realize there will never be another them, but they never step into that. They never give away those gifts to the world. And if I could just be the person that helps them find the better way to step into their God-given purpose, then I live out my purpose through that.
Right on track, man. And that's so up on my board here next to me, it says what I said earlier, which was don't waste your life. Don't waste your potential. Don't waste your why. Don't spend one more day not living your why. That is our battle. That is what we are all about. So my vision, Cody, my vision is that the why is the essential first step that people take when they're trying to figure out who they are. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I'm just not sure. I don't know who I am. I don't know what direction I should go. I can't answer those questions. The first step, the very first step, discover your why. Exactly. The rest will be so much easier. So let me get back to those questions. I don't want to forget that. First one was, how do I find my passion? Second one was, how do I know where I fit? How do I know direction I should go? Well, you fit where your why is valued. Where people are looking for somebody to help them find a better way is exactly where you will fit, exactly what you will love doing, exactly the path that you should be on. If you get to live your why like you are now, doing what you're doing, you're going to love it. If I took you and stuck you in a corner and I said, Cody, I want you to be my bookkeeper here for the next 3 years.
I'd be miserable.
How long would you do it? I mean, how long would you have energy for that?
Oh man, I'd know right away it wasn't for me. I'd be out.
Right. But if that's all I had for you, you could do a good job with it.
Yeah.
Right? I could force you to do it.
I could do the job if I needed to do the job.
For how long is the question, right? When would you run out of energy? Pretty quick, huh?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Your why helps you know what to say yes to, and your why helps you know what to say no to. No, even though I could do bookkeeping, that is not going to work for me. Yes, being on stage speaking, showing people a better way would be great for me. Yes, I'm in for that. Yes, I would have energy for that. Yes, reading things and finding tips or meeting people that could push me forward. Yes, I would love that. Right? You know what you'd say yes and what you would say no to. So we already talked a little bit about how do you build your message for your business. We talked about that with Steve Jobs, the same way you would do that yourself. Same thing for your culture. But when it comes time for your ideal client, so because somebody had teeth, does that mean that they're my ideal client?
I don't think so. No.
No. Because you have teeth doesn't mean I want to see you as a patient. And because somebody needs help doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be a great client for you either, right?
Yeah, and I've learned that 100%.
Yes. So when it comes time to figure out who are you looking for, you're looking for somebody who's looking for a better way. Because that is what you offer. And so in your messaging, on your website, just be clear. You're offering a better way. And if I'm not looking for a better way, I'm looking for you to just sit and hold my hand and talk to me. How much fun would that be for you, Cody?
Not fun at all. I ain't a therapist.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I need help, Cody. I need help. Here, will you just hold my hand and sit and listen to me? I just want you to listen to me. Maybe pet the top of my hand. Would you do that for me? You're like, no, that's not what I do. I'm like, let's get off our butts. Let's get motivated. Let's get moving. Let's go do something. No. But I want you to just sit here with me. So it really helps you figure out who you're looking for. You're looking for somebody who's looking for a better way.
I love how this applies to everything, Gary. This like I've always I look at things like a filter that we run things through. And for me, the filter has always been just like the core values, right? Like the things that mean like integrity to me and my core values and the alignment with that and my long-term goal. But then taking like almost this missing element of finding a better way, of a why and who I am and the way I'm wired and the way God created me to be identifies in my business and the vision for it and all the way to the clients that I want to work with. And it's really cool how this is almost the cornerstone that everything else has to be built on.
The essential first step.
Yes.
Everything is built on this. And if you don't have this piece, you are relying on hope. That's what I want to get across to people. If you don't know this, and it's so easy for you to get it, just go to the website and do it. It's not expensive. It is your first step. It will save you so many headaches. It is not only your motivation, it is your message.
Is it yinstitute.com?
Yinstitute.com. Just go to yinstitute.com. You can take it right there.
Is that right?
Yep, that is it right there.
We'll
I want you to hear again what I said. It is your motivation and your message. You're not going to build your branding around your disc profile or your strength finders or your Colby score, but you damn well better build it around your why. That tells me why I would choose you. It's that important.
So good. You know, I'm interested on your take on something, Gary. Do you think that the why is hardwired into us the day that we're born, or that is something that evolves throughout our lifetime?
Yes.
Yes to which one, or both?
That's so when I'm speaking on stage, I get that question. Somebody will raise their hand. Is the why God-given, or is it environmental? And I answer that yes. So why do you think I answer it yes?
You know, I mean, you can't go wrong on your end just saying yes, for one. So you don't put yourself in a rock and a hard place. Two, I think I guess I could see it being a little bit of both. We're all created very uniquely and differently, and I would imagine that whys are different because of that, but also we are products of our environments, and that can change things as we grow up.
And the bottom line, does it matter?
No.
Does it matter where it came from? It just matters what it is. So if I answer that question, invariably I'm going to piss off a certain percentage, depending upon the audience. I'll piss off 50%, right? If half the people think it's environmental and half the people think it's God-given, half the people are going to be mad at me. For what? It doesn't matter. It's just, if I had to guess, if you were forcing me to answer that, I would say it's God-given. But
I agree.
I have no proof. I can't prove anything. So that's why I answer it yes.
I'm glad I asked, actually. That was cool to hear you answer that in that way. You know, I want to go back a little bit. Do you still have more of those questions that you're answering?
I don't think so, because what I would like to spend a little bit of time on is, which I think will be really helpful for your audience, and that is your YOS. Your YOS. So your Y operating system. So what is an operating system, right? You think about your computer. Is it a Mac or is it a PC? Or you think about your phone. Is it Android or is it iOS or is it Apple? And so that's the system that drives you. And so your YOS is your why, your how, and your what. And that is your operating system that drives you that drives you. So let me explain that. Your why is externally why you do what you do, externally how you see the world. Your how is internally how you process that. And then your what is externally what you bring. So it's external, internal, external. And so that's your operating system. It tells you a lot more than just your why. And so your why, like in my case, my why is to find a better way, just like you. How I do that is by making things clear and understandable. First, me getting clear and then making them clear. And then ultimately what I bring is a simple solution to help other people move forward. So my why is better way, my how is clarify, and my what is simplify. I find a better way, I make it clear, and I simplify it for others so that they can use it. And you can see that when you go to our website, and you can see it in everything we do. What's interesting about your YOS is it is your decision-making process. For me, if it isn't better, if it isn't clear, and if it isn't simple, I don't want it. If you had an idea that you were going to present to me, Cody, and it wasn't better, wasn't clear, wasn't simple, or wasn't even one of those, I'm not in. I'll send it back to you. But if you walked up to me and you said, hey, Gary, I got something I want to share with you. Let me show you how this is better. Let me show you how this makes things clear. Let me show you how this is simple. I'd be like, well, I'm all in. That's what I'm looking for. That's how we communicate. That's the language that I speak.
Yeah.
And if you know my language, that allows you to speak in a language that I will hear, listen to, be interested in, and most likely move forward with. So if you're in sales, do you think it would be valuable to know the why and the YOS of somebody, a prospective client?
100%. And I would even go as far as to say, if you don't discover that, it's going to make your job all that harder.
You're back to hope.
Yeah. You're hoping that.
Hope. So what happens in most cases, what happens to people is they say a whole bunch of things in the hopes that they say something that that person wanted to hear. Let me just tell them all this. I've done 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 this. What do you think of me? What do you think of me? What do you think of me? Versus just knowing who you're talking to, speaking to them in the language that they hear, and then you can easily move forward.
Yeah. So when you know why that person's there in the first place, you don't even have to sell them. You just have to make it make sense to them.
Whenever I meet with somebody, well, I don't meet with them until I know their why, as you already know. When we talked, I wanted to know your why before we talked.
He did not meet with me. We met, and then I was on his podcast. Now he's on my show until I took my why discovery through the whyinstitute.com that is below.
I don't know who I'm talking to. How would I know even what to talk about with you? But once I knew your why, man, you and I had the same why. We're speaking the same language. We're living the same world. I mean, I get you. I totally get you now. And if you had a different why, I would understand that one as well. So it's super valuable.
Or someone that works with people, and sorry, if you're a coach or a consultant or someone that works in the space that we're in, that this not only do they do for themselves, but they do this practice with their clients. Would you recommend?
Unfair advantage.
Yeah.
It's an unfair advantage for you. If you're going to design a program, let's say you are Cody and my coach. If you're going to design a program for us, would it be valuable for you to know that how our brain works? That we're always in search for a better way. We want something innovative. We want something new. We want something cutting edge. We don't want the old same thing all the time. We don't want the same thing everybody else is doing. I want something that's fresh and new and exciting and different and cool and bad and all those things. Don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's if you wanted to sell me or Gary, 100% knowing that's going to make your job a lot easier for sure.
Yeah. Don't present to me something you know I'm not going to want. Only present to me what you know I'm going to want. So that's what makes it so much easier. Now, if you're listening to this, do you think that it would be valuable to know the why of somebody you're thinking about dating?
100%.
Yes.
Actually,
do you think it would be valuable?
Common practice.
Do you think it would be valuable for your, let's say you were old enough and you had some kids and you had a teenage daughter. Do you think it would be valuable for your teenage daughter to know that she has a gift and what her gift is before she starts to date? Before she picks a career? Before she picks a spouse? Before she decides what school to go to? Would that be valuable, do you think, for her?
Absolutely. I think almost in anybody that you're going to have any depth of interaction with, it would be valuable personally.
Exactly the way what we do. And so what we're about is using the software. So I used to be a consulting company.
Right.
I used to work with a lot of companies. I still do in some cases, but we are now in the process. If our goal, I want to talk about this too before. I was trying to, and you already know this, but when you're trying to figure out your goal, how do you do that? I struggled with that for a long time because I would come up with what I wanted our goal to be, and then my team around me that has to get it done would say, "Well, how are we going to do that? How do we do? What are the steps to do that?" And so we would end up bringing our goal down to something we thought we could get to, or maybe even a little bit of a stretch. But one of my mentors, a guy named Randy Davis, he was Oprah Winfrey's mentor. He and I had this conversation. I said, Randy, when I talk about my goal, my team wants to know how we're going to get there. And why are we picking a goal if we don't know how to get there? And he said to me, Gary, you have to pick a goal that scares the hell out of you, that you have absolutely no idea how you're going to get there.
Totally.
And all you need to know is the next step. That's all you need to know. And so when our goal became 1 billion, helping 1 billion people in the next 5 years, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I have no idea how I'm going to get there. But I can tell you, just by saying that, just by declaring what my goal is, so many people have stepped forward and says, A, I want to be part of that. B, I know how to help you get there. Big names have just come forward. Hey, I can help you get there. I know
you
I can help you.
You declared it, and therefore it will happen.
Had I declared I want to get to 10,000, I probably could have got to that too. Right? So why not pick something that scares you to death? And the reason he said that you want it to scare you is because it makes it worth getting up in the morning excited about. If your goal is something you know you can get, does that excite you?
Absolutely. And it has to tie, though, to that why.
Yes.
Because we know that chasing a scary goal is difficult, and it's a long journey at times. But when it's tied to that why, you're passionate about it. You know it's your purpose, therefore you won't give up on it.
For sure. And I want your audience to know, I have made every possible mistake you can make. I have brought on the wrong people. I've picked the wrong software. I've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars on stupid stuff that I thought was the right move. I've gone down all kinds of paths that took me in the wrong direction. So if that's happening to you guys, it happened to me. And it's taken me a long time to get where I am now. Cody's way faster than I have been. You started when you had less commitments. You didn't have 2 kids, a dental practice, 8 years of college, $1 million into equipment to walk away from. I just sold my practice. I sold everything. And now I'm 100% in the Y Institute. And now I've got a whole team and everything around me. But for a long time, I didn't have that. So I don't want everyone to think because you discover your why, your life will suddenly be easy. Doesn't work that way. Right. You will have passion, but it might even make your life harder. Because maybe you're not on the right path. Maybe you're just doing. Maybe you're just pick something and you're like, I'll give it a shot, and it really isn't the right thing. But now you're invested into it, and you're on this path, and it's scary to change. Imagine being me just recently. I have my dental practice at a place where I'm at the absolute top of our game. I'm only working 3 days a week. I'm making a very good income. I have it all wired and figured out now, and I walk away. That's a lot to walk away from. I could have wrote it out.
Yeah.
Right? I could have come in there and ride this thing out and no problem.
And you would have had a great life, but it wasn't the life that you knew was your why.
Exactly. So did it make my life easier? No. Did it make it more fun? Yes. Am I so happy I'm doing what I'm doing? Yes. Will it end up way bigger than what my practice was? For sure. Should I have done it a long time ago? Probably. So, well, not even probably, for sure. So if you're listening to this or you're watching this, it's okay if you're on the wrong path. But now you'll be able to figure out what the right path is. And if it takes you a year to get to the right path, okay, it takes you a year to get to the right path. But at least once you're there, now you're going to be in the right lane and you will have unlimited energy for it. You have so much passion for it, so much excitement for it, just like Cody does. I mean, you can just feel his excitement. In everything you do, you can just feel it. It oozes out of you.
And it's crazy because, you know, I wasn't always here. I'm younger, and I will say I'm fast tracking, I feel like, and I feel honored and blessed, but I still I've been committed to this since I was 18, and I had to work 21 jobs that I was never fired from, constantly switching what I did because it didn't sit right. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't show up to work with this energy, guys. I'll tell you that. I did my best to fake it, but at the end of the day, it wasn't until I stepped in. And what I do now is way harder, like Gary said, than anything I've ever done in my life. The amount of responsibility that Gary has, that I have to do what we do and to keep things moving forward, it's a lot of weight on our shoulders, but it doesn't matter. I would gladly put the world on my shoulders if it's what I feel called to do. And I am finding a better way. And I'm hoping you guys find a better way by bringing guys like this incredible guy, Dr. Gary Sanchez, on the show to share this incredible value with you, knowing that even just one of you, maybe one of you out there hears this tonight, and this is the spark that you needed in your life to invoke the change that you're going to make, to find your better way or to find your why and to step into your purpose. I don't know. Maybe you're the person that cures cancer. And it's something that Gary said today that starts that journey for you.
That is so awesome. That's what the whole reason we're doing this is really, like I said, to help people not waste their life, not living their why.
Yeah.
Discover it, live it, have passion, have excitement, have energy, have direction, have focus, have impact. It all comes from knowing your why. You can get rid of hope and you can know for sure. And
now you're finding a better way and you're simplify and clarify, right? Yeah. Now I know, because I know you, that you have actually found a better way. You have simplified the process and you've clarified how to do it. Would you mind sharing with my audience what you guys have done at Y Institute, why they should go to your website, and how simple you've made this process to find your why?
For sure. So when I heard about the concept of why, just like all of you have, there was no shortage of experts and gurus and speakers telling me how important it was for me to know my why, right? Every one of them, from Tony Robbins, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. You got to know your why. You got to know your why. You got to know your why. Yeah. I know it. I get it. I know. I need to know my why. I hear you. Now, who is going to help me discover my why? Nobody. Even now, when I talk to coaches and I'll say, you know, when you know your why, what you do has more impact and more meaning. They'll go, yeah, I agree with you. I know that. In fact, I help my clients discover their why. I say, hey, that's great. How do you do it? And they're, well, you know, I have them read some books and then we have a little conversation about it and we kind of figure it out. And I say, okay, great. Your client right there that you're working with, what is their why? And they'll say, well, you know, we're kind of working on that. We're still kind of refining that. And I say, okay, well, what is your why? And they'll say, well, you know, I'm kind of refining that too. I'm still kind of working on, I'm still playing with that. And I said, well, if this is the most important step, how can you not know it? And that was what fueled me. I was like, this is not a better way to tell me I need to know it and not help me find it. So if you're not going to help me find it, I'm going to go fricking find it myself. And that's what I did. And so now we've made it better, clearer, and simpler so you can discover your why in about 5 minutes. So 5 minutes, you'll know your why. In beta right now is our YOS discovery. So you'll know your why, your how, and your what. Taking that. So it's a couple weeks away from actually launching that. But if it's right there for you, why not grab it and go? And then you'll have that clarity. It gives you the motivation and the message. The motivation and the message. Because really what it boils down to is that moved people move people, right? Moved people move people. If you're moved, you're going to move people. You're going to have an impact. You're going to be moved. You're going to feel it, know it, just like Cody does, just like I do. You'll be sure. Do you think there's how does life work out, Cody, when you're fuzzy and not clear?
I think when you're not clear on things, you struggle with what you should do.
Yeah. So imagine you're in your car and you're driving down this mountain road and you go into a bank of fog. What happens to your hands?
You stiffen up, you slow down, you get nervous.
Yes. You start to try to feel your way along.
Yeah.
You hope to not go off course. How fast can you go? How easy is it to make a decision? How do you know what's in front of you? How do you know where you've been? Everything slows down and you just hope to get through it.
Yeah.
And then you compare that to when you're clear. Bang, you can move fast.
Yeah.
You can make decisions. You can see what's in front of you. You can stay on course. You can enjoy the ride. That's the difference. And so when you know your why, you gain that clarity to make better decisions, to move forward faster, to have a bigger impact, to gain confidence. That's where it all comes from, is being clear. So my challenge to the audience, I'm not, if everybody here takes it, it's not going to make a lot of money for me. It's more about you guys getting clear so you can have a bigger impact in your own life. I don't want to try to feel like I'm selling anything.
Yeah.
It's not expensive. It's not like it's $47 to go discover your why.
Yeah. And guys, I will say I've taken this and I actually shared this with all of my clients that I coach. And I think one thing I'm even going to incorporate in my branding company in Maverick Media is I'm going to start incurring the cost for my clients to do this to help better build their brand. You said some things today that really just stood out to me. But yeah, I encourage you guys, if you're struggling to find your why, I mean, personally to me, what is $47 to help get clarity in our life? I mean, that's nothing to me. And I'm not here. I don't sell on the show. Gary's not here to sell. I only speak about things that I believe in. I've gotten to know Gary. I've gotten to know his heart. I truly believe he is finding a better way. I truly believe he is making the world a better place. And it's going to be really cool to watch some of the partnerships he shared with me that he's in strategic and what they're doing. It's going to be really cool what you're doing, Gary.
It's exciting right now. It's 1 billion lives. Imagine what 1 billion clear people can do. Imagine what that what we can do as a group when everybody gets to live their passion. They know how to make decisions. They know how to connect. They have better relationships, and it's all based on their why. I mean, we're just going to rock this world. So I'm excited that you've been part of it. I'm excited you're going to continue to be part of it. I'm excited that we got to meet.
Yes.
And better way, guys, are going to do a lot.
Emphasizing, Gary, that we will be on stage together in the very near future, brother.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes,
you're the next Tony Robbins. You're the new Tony Robbins.
There we go. Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is I'm not Tony Robbins and he'll never be me. But let's be honest, his vocal cords are about there. It's time for someone else to take over. But, I do want to – we're at the last few minutes of this, Gary, and I want to end on a question for you. But before I get to that question, how can people find and connect with you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so the best way is go to whyinstitute.com, discover your why. I'm also on LinkedIn. My team's on LinkedIn. We connect with us there. We're on all the other social media platforms. We're always putting out great content. We'll always keep you up to date. I have my big event this week, actually, where all of our so what I do is I have a certification program for coaches that want to utilize this in their practice, or if you're a coach, consultant, creative agency, HR department, if you want to be able to use this to put people in the right place, hire them based on their why. I have a certification program for that. It's all on the website. I really, what's cool for you is once you've discovered your why, then I start sending you podcast interviews that I've done with people that have your why. So you'll get to see how your why has played out in really successful, really fascinating stories of other people. And you'll be going, man, that's exactly what I would do. I see how they did that. Yeah, I can do that too. So Cody's one of them. If your why comes up better way, you're gonna learn a lot more about Cody because he's a better way guy.
It was one of my favorite podcasts I've ever been on.
Yeah, we had a good time. That was fun.
It was. Well, Gary, we're at the hour, and I want to honor and respect your time, but I do want to ask you one question.
Sure.
It was the question that was asked to me many years ago, and I just want to ask you, what breaks your heart in the world?
Seeing people wasting their life like I was doing. And people look at me and say, how could you call that wasting your life? You helped all these people. You changed all these lives. You had crying and hugs every day. How does that feel like it? Because I wasn't really doing what I should be doing. Could I do bookkeeping like we talked about for you? And could I do it well? Yes. Is that the best use of my life? No. Was I living my why? No. Now I am. So I hate seeing people wasting their life not living their why. You only got one shot.
One shot, guys, one life. So don't.
And I got a lot less of it than you do.
I don't know. We're living longer and longer. But guys, I just want to encourage you. I hope you got a lot of value from this show. But with that last thing that Gary just said, don't waste your life not living your why. You were created with intention. You were created with purpose. And you have a why. And I truly believe it's your due diligence and your responsibility to discover that why. There's great resources like Share Today to find that, but more importantly, to use it and to step into it and to make the world a better place in and through it. And if we all were to do that, what a beautiful world we would live in. So guys, I appreciate all of you that tune in to the Motivation Everything show live, or if you catch the replay because you were working or busy, extremely grateful. Stay tuned next week. I'll be back with another incredible guest. And my one ask of all of you is if you got value from this show today, like it, comment on it, and share it so somebody else can receive that same value that you got today. All right, guys, we're out. If I can get it to end.